The Night Archive. Season 1, The Museum That Opens at Midnight. Episode 3, The Head in Workroom C. The first thing Captain Helena Frost said after the Global Archive Network went dark was not a prayer. It was not a warning. It was not even an order. She looked at the handless attendant and said, "How long since your last maintenance?" The attendant went completely still. Mara Ellison stood in the staff room beneath No. 7 Private Antiquities Museum with porcelain spreading through 2 fingers, gold threads moving beneath her skin, and the taste of blood still sharp in her mouth from the Byzantine hall. On the monitors behind her, the screens had returned to their usual views of No. 7. The Bronze Hall. The Bone and Reliquary Hall. The Painted Gallery. The Clay and Vessel Gallery. The Legion Hall. Storage corridors. Basement stairwells. The entrance hall and the 12 bronze wardens. The screen marked 7th basement had gone blank again. But the room did not feel safe. It felt like a room after someone had stopped screaming only because a hand had been placed over their mouth. Mara looked at Helena. "Maintenance?" The handless attendant said softly, "Captain." Helena did not take her eyes off him. "Answer the question." The attendant's empty sleeves hung motionless. 37 nights. Helena's face hardened. "Impossible. I was conserving. You were starving." Mara looked from one to the other. "Starving from what?" The attendant did not answer. He had been strange since the moment Mara met him, but strange in a controlled way. Dry. Precise. Almost polite. The sort of impossible thing that had learned manners because manners were easier than explaining what it had become. Now something was wrong. His shoulders were too rigid. His collar looked too tight. The shadows beneath his empty sleeves moved as if something inside them wanted to unfold. Helena stepped toward the shelf. Mara followed her gaze. The mannequin head sat where it had been since Mara arrived. Pale plastic. Bald. Expressionless. Black number written on its neck. B13. Mara remembered the manual. Rule 4, if the handless attendant requests a head, give him the mannequin head from storage room B. Lock workroom C 3 times. Do not observe. The handless attendant had not requested a head yet. But Helena was already reaching for it. Mara said, "Wait." Helena paused. Mara looked at the attendant. "Is this why the intercessor dislikes you?" His face remained calm. Too calm. She dislikes anyone who has learned to survive by substitution. What does that mean? Helena picked up the mannequin head. It means he needs a head before he starts asking for one that has memories. Mara's stomach tightened. Does that happen? Yes, Helena said. The attendant lowered his eyes. Not since 1983. That is not as comforting as you think it is. The museum bell rang once. Not the incident bell. Not the deep call from the 7th basement. A smaller bell. Closer. From inside workroom C. Helena looked at the door. Too late. The attendant whispered, "I am sorry." Mara's porcelain fingers went cold. "Do not accept apologies from anyone in the elevator," she said. You told me that. The attendant gave her a tired smile. This is not the elevator. Then he looked at Helena. And for the first time, Mara heard fear in his voice. Do not let me speak after the door opens. Helena's hand moved to her revolver. Then don't. The attendant laughed once. It sounded almost human. Captain, if restraint worked, I would still have hands. The workroom C door unlocked itself. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then it opened. And from the darkness inside, a voice said in perfect imitation of Mara's own. Please give me your head. No one moved. The voice from Workroom C had used Mara's tone exactly. Not her full voice, perhaps. The weeping intercessor had acquired only a partial sample. But it was enough. Enough to make Mara feel as if her reflection had spoken from the wrong side of a mirror. Helena raised her revolver. The handless attendant shut his eyes. The voice came again. Mara's voice. Soft. Almost embarrassed. I only need it for a little while. Helena said, do not answer. Mara stared at the open door. The room beyond was black. No lights. No visible furniture. Only a smell. Old wood. Metal tools. Wax. Blood that had dried years ago. And something else. Something like burned hair and chapel smoke. The handless attendant's empty sleeves began to lift. Not by much. Only an inch. Then another. The fabric stretched outward as if invisible arms were slowly raising themselves from within. Helena snapped, attendant. He opened his eyes. They were no longer fully his. Something behind them had shifted closer to the surface. For one brief moment, Mara saw not a polite handless guard, but a figure in a ruined battlefield, standing under a black sky while soldiers without faces carried severed heads in baskets. Then the vision vanished. Helena shoved the mannequin head into Mara's hands. Take it to the chair. What chair? You'll know it. I hate when people say that. Good. Hate keeps you awake. The attendant whispered, do not look at the wall on the left. What's on the wall on the left? My hands. Mara almost dropped the head. Helena grabbed her shoulder. Listen carefully. Workroom C is a substitution chamber. It was built after the War of Acquisitions to keep partially human staff from becoming fully predatory. The what? The war no history book mentions. Mara looked at her. Helena's face was grim. You wanted a bigger universe. Congratulations. You're standing inside its scar. The voice in Workroom C called again. Mara's voice. Then her mother's. Then Victor Hale's. Then the crying child from the Byzantine Hall. Then 100 museum docents speaking in different languages. Please, they said together. We need a head. The attendant's sleeves lifted another inch. Helena drew a silver line across the floor with the tip of her boot. The metal in her soul sparked against stone. Go in. Place the mannequin head on the chair. Walk out. Do not observe. Do not ask questions. Do not speak. Mara looked at the head in her hands. It was heavier than plastic. Too heavy. Its blank eyes faced upward. The black number on its neck had changed. Not B13. Now it read. War 0. Mara swallowed. What does that mean? Helena did not answer. The attendant did. His voice was shaking now. It means Workroom C remembers the first one. Mara stepped into Workroom C. The darkness did not retreat from her. It accepted her. The room was larger than it should have been, but Mara had stopped expecting no. 7 to respect architecture. Long metal tables stretched into shadow. Glass cabinets lined the walls. Tools hung neatly on hooks. Scalpels. Clamps. Bone saws. Brushes. Silver needles. Porcelain adhesive. Red thread. Black thread. Gold wire. Copper nails. Iron tongs. Saint metals. Roman coins. Vials of salt. Vials of ash. Vials labeled only with dates. In the center of the room stood the chair. Not a modern chair. Old oak. Bolted to the floor. Its arms were scratched by fingernails. Its back was carved with 7 circles around a vertical line. The seal of 7 night gates. Mara moved toward it. The mannequin head grew warmer in her hands. Halfway across the room, something brushed her left shoulder. She did not turn. The attendant had warned her. Do not look at the wall on the left. So of course, every part of her wanted to look. On that side of the room, something tapped softly against plaster. Tap. 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 Not knuckles. Fingernails. Many of them. Mara kept her eyes on the chair. From the left wall, a man whispered. I was a surgeon before they took me. Another voice said. I was a pianist. Another. I carved saints. Another. I held my son. Another. I signed because my wife was hungry. Mara walked faster. The mannequin head blinked. She stopped. Its plastic eyelids closed once. Opened. Its mouth parted. Victor Hales's voice came from inside it. Mara, restoration is the last mercy. No, Mara whispered before she could stop herself. The room heard. The tools on the walls rattled. The left wall began to breathe. Mara froze. A line of red text appeared across the chair seat. Verbal response recorded. Second partial voice match confirmed. She almost cursed. Then did not. The head in her hand smiled. With her mouth. You are learning so quickly, it said. Mara placed it on the chair. The moment the plastic neck touched wood, iron restraints snapped from nowhere and locked around it. The mannequin eyes rolled toward her. Not blank now. Human. Terrified. It whispered. Tell Helena the British Black Collection has already opened. Mara stared. The head spoke faster. Tell her London lied. Tell her the covered statues are not statues. Tell her the Treaty of St. Bartholomew failed in 1928. Tell her the war of acquisitions never ended. It only moved underground. The tools shook violently. From outside Workroom C, Helena shouted. Ellison! Out! The mannequin head's eyes filled with tears. Tell her the first head was not a substitute. The left wall cracked. Mara turned despite every warning. The wall was covered with hands. Hundreds of them. Human hands. Wax hands. Bronze hands. Bone hands. Porcelain hands. Hands nailed palm out like specimens. Hands reaching halfway through plaster. Hands with wedding rings. Hands with military tattoos. Hands with nail polish. Hands of children. Hands of saints. Hands of thieves. Hands of surgeons. Hands of kings. And in the center, 2 empty spaces. Fresh. Waiting. The handless attendant spaces. Mara stepped backward. The mannequin head screamed. Do not let him remember the battlefield. Then the chair folded inward like a mouth. The head vanished. Workroom C went silent. For 1 second, nothing moved. Then every hand on the left wall pointed at Mara. Not accusing. Warning. Behind her, something in the dark whispered. The war remembers you now. Mara ran. Helena slammed the door as Mara crossed the threshold. She locked it once. The handless attendant made a sound through his teeth. Helena locked it twice. Inside, something laughed with Mara's voice. Helena locked it 3 times. The door stopped shaking. The attendant collapsed to one knee. For a moment, Mara thought he would fall apart. His empty sleeves hung still again. His face returned to itself. Whatever that meant. He looked at Mara. You looked. Mara leaned against the wall, breathing hard. You told me not to. And I'm new. Helena holstered her revolver. You spoke in there. Mara wiped sweat from her forehead with the back of her wrist. The head spoke first. The head is designed to speak. It told me things. Helena and the attendant both went very still. What things? Helena asked. Mara hesitated. Then repeated exactly what she had heard. The British Black Collection has already opened. London lied. The covered statues are not statues. The Treaty of St. Bartholomew failed in 1928. The war of acquisitions never ended. It only moved underground. The first head was not a substitute. The staff room became cold. Not artifact cold. Human cold. The cold of people who knew a locked door had opened somewhere far away. Helena looked at the attendant. He did not meet her eyes. What is the war of acquisitions? Mara asked. Neither answered. She laughed once, bitterly. No. Not this time. I got dragged into a museum that pays me 6 figures to get cursed by holy mosaics and burial monsters. A mannequin head just warned me about London. The wall has your hands in it. Someone tells me a war never ended. I am done accepting dramatic silence as workplace culture. Helena studied her for a long moment. Then she walked to the staff room door and shut it. The manual on the desk opened by itself. Helena slammed it closed. "No," she said to the book. "I will tell it." The handless attendant whispered, "Captain Frost. She is already marked as a 14th warden candidate." The network saw her. The intercessor sampled her voice. Workroom C recognized her. "If we keep pretending she is a night guard, she will die ignorant, and the museum will call that compliance." The attendant said nothing. Helena turned to Mara. In public history, the world suffered one great war between 1914 and 1918, then another beginning in 1939. Mara nodded slowly. "In our history," Helena said, "there was a third war between them." Mara's mouth went dry. "A secret war. A collecting war. A containment war. A theft war. We call it the War of Acquisitions." She crossed to the monitors. One by one, she tapped the screens. Rome. London. Paris. Cairo. Jerusalem. Istanbul. No. 7. After the First Public War ended, Europe was full of broken churches, burned libraries, looted graves, bombed monasteries, abandoned estates, military dead, plague pits reopened by artillery, shrines shattered by shelling, and archaeological expeditions funded by governments pretending to be scholars. The monitors flickered. For a second, Mara saw images that were not live. Archival footage. Trenches flooded with black water. Priests carrying boxes through smoke. Soldiers loading statues onto trucks. Men in suits opening tombs. Women in veils sealing crates with wax. A train car filled with covered relics. A burning chapel. A desert dig site at night. A black ship crossing the Mediterranean without lights. Helena continued. Everyone thought the old world had ended. That made it easy for governments, churches, museums, universities, occult societies, royal houses, and private collectors to steal what they had always wanted. Mara said, "Artifacts." "Not artifacts. Weapons." The handless attendant lowered his head. Helena's voice darkened. Rome wanted relics that could command obedience. London wanted imperial gods from colonies it claimed were dead. Paris wanted prophetic art. Cairo wanted its stolen pantheon returned. Istanbul wanted the drowned chapels sealed. Jerusalem wanted the eighth gate erased. Moscow wanted saint bones that could survive execution squads. Berlin wanted everything. Mara felt the porcelain in her fingers pulse. And number 7? Number 7 was built because the war was already out of control. The manual opened despite Helena's command. Pages flipped furiously. This time, Helena did not stop it. A black and white photograph appeared between the pages. 14 people stood in front of No. 7 in 1928. Mara recognized the shapes from the bronze statues. The blacksmith. The nun. The violinist. The stonemason. The calligrapher. The clockmaker. The shipwright. The plague doctor. The glassblower. The soldier. The weaver. The blind astronomer. 2 others. One was a man in a long dark coat, sharp-faced, elegant, with architect's plans under one arm. The other stood blurred, as if the photograph could not decide whether she was there. Helena tapped the sharp-faced man. Elias Vorn. Architect. Occult engineer. Founder of No. 7's physical structure. Mara pointed to the blurred figure. Who is that? Helena did not answer immediately. The handless attendant said quietly, the first restorer. Mara looked at him. Name? Removed. By who? The war. Helena turned the page. A map unfolded from the manual. Europe. North Africa. The Middle East. Lines drawn between cities. Red marks. Black circles. 7 central nodes. 14 secondary vaults. Dozens of minor seals. The title at the top. The St. Bartholomew Accords, 1928. Helena said, the treaty created the archive network. Each major power surrendered certain relics into containment. Officially, it ended the War of Acquisitions. Officially, the British kept a second collection. The Vatican kept a lower reliquary. The Louvre hid the icon room. Cairo built a museum with no catalogue. Jerusalem sealed a door without admitting it existed. No. 7 was supposed to serve as the balancing node. Mara looked at the map. 7 major points formed a shape. Not a circle. Not a star. A cage. No. 7 sat near the center. What were they trying to cage? Helena looked toward the blank 7th basement monitor. The thing that woke up when the intercessor sang. Mara remembered the eyes beneath the museum. The pressure of them. The ancient appetite. What is it? The attendant said, names are dangerous. Helena said, names are incomplete. Mara waited. Helena sighed. Every culture called it something different. Moloch. Saturn. Kronos. The devourer. The mouth beneath the house. The old hunger. In Enochian fragments, it is described only as the appetite that taught sacrifice to language. Mara's stomach turned. That's not a name. No. It is a wound where a name should be. The manual wrote a line in fresh red ink. The first hunger does not care which god you pray to. It cares what you are willing to feed. Mara stepped away from the book. Helena watched her carefully. During the War of Acquisitions, every side tried to weaponize relics connected to grief, obedience, resurrection, prophecy, and death. They thought they were controlling old powers. But every restored relic, every stolen icon, every open tomb, every broken seal fed the same thing beneath the network. The first hunger. Helena nodded. By 1928, it had started answering. Mara thought of the intercessor. If heaven does not answer, why shouldn't I? She felt sick. What happened? The wardens happened. The entrance hall monitor flickered. Mara saw the 12 bronze statues. They stood still, but the image seemed deeper than before. As if the camera had begun to see beneath bronze. Helena said, 14 specialists gave themselves to form the living seal. Artists, engineers, priests, heretics, scientists, criminals. People who understood that human hands had caused the catastrophe, so human hands had to become the lock. Mara looked at the handless attendant. His face was unreadable. What about him? Helena was silent. The attendant answered. I was not a warden. Then what were you? He looked toward Workroom C. I was logistics. Helena's expression changed. Attendant. No, he said. She asked. And she is right. Silence here has never protected anyone. It has only made the museum more fluent. He turned to Mara. I moved relics during the war. You were a collector. A thief. A courier. A coward. Choose any honest word. His sleeves hung motionless. I transported objects between vaults. London to Rome. Rome to Paris. Paris to Cairo. Jerusalem to places with no names. I did not ask what they were. I did not ask why people died when crates opened. I did not ask why certain relics cried in children's voices. I was paid. I was praised. I was useful. Mara said nothing. In 1928, I delivered a head to number 7. The first head. He closed his eyes. Yes. Whose? The manual tried to close itself. Helena placed one hand on it. The book trembled. The attendant whispered. The 14th wardens. Mara stared. I thought the 14th pedestal was empty because Elias Vaughan betrayed them. It is. But you just said you delivered his head. No, Helena said. Her voice was very quiet now. The 14th warden was not Elias Vaughan. Mara looked at the photograph again. The sharp-faced architect. The blurred figure. The first restorer. The removed name. The missing warden. The empty pedestal. The head in Workroom C. The map of the world. The war that never ended. Something clicked into place. The blurred person, Mara said. The first restorer. The handless attendant nodded once. What was her name? The room went dark. Not the lights. The room. For one moment, every monitor showed the same thing. A battlefield at night. Not trenches. Not any battlefield Mara recognized. A place made of broken museum halls, collapsed churches, desert tombs, flooded catacombs, and burning libraries all layered over one another. Soldiers from different centuries fought beneath banners that changed languages as they moved. Angels made of stained glass fell from the sky. Statues walked through gunfire. Saints screamed without tongues. Jackal-headed judges weighed beating hearts beside artillery guns. At the center of the battlefield, a woman stood holding a broken relic in both hands. Mara could not see her face. But she saw her hands. White porcelain to the wrist. Gold light beneath the skin. Like Mara's. The woman turned toward the camera. The monitors exploded into static. The lights returned. Mara stood frozen. Helena drew a slow breath. That was not in the file. The handless attendant looked as if he might collapse. Mara whispered, "She was like me." "No," said the manual. Everyone turned. The book had written one sentence across both pages. "You are like her." Then a second sentence appeared. "And this time, the head has not forgiven the body." Workroom C shook violently. Something inside slammed against the door. Once. Twice. 3 times. The locks held. Barely. From inside came a voice. Not Mara's. Not her mother's. Not Victor's. A woman's voice. Clear. Furious. Ancient with injury. "Give me back my name." The handless attendant staggered backward. Helena raised her revolver. Mara's porcelain fingers burned. The voice in Workroom C spoke again. This time, it said a name. Not in English. Not in Latin. Not in any language Mara knew. But the moment she heard it, the porcelain in her hands cracked open to the second knuckle. Gold light poured out. The 12 warden statues on the entrance hall monitor all turned their bronze heads toward the staff room. And beneath No. 7, the first hunger opened one eye. The bell that followed did not ring through the museum. It rang through the world. Every monitor burst into life. The Vatican sub-level reliquary showed 7 sealed boxes shaking on their shelves. The British Black Collection showed black cloth slipping from the shoulders of something shaped like a queen. The Louvre subterranean icon room flooded with red light. The Cairo Museum of Uncatalogued Gods filled with sand from no visible source. The Jerusalem 8th gate opened another inch. A drowned bell tolled beneath Istanbul. Somewhere in the North Atlantic, under water black as oil, a museum no map had ever recorded lit one window. Helena said, "No." The manual wrote. Archive war signal detected. Source, Workroom C. Classification, Carriaccord relic memory. Status, the old war has heard a new restorer. Mara looked at her hands. Porcelain. Gold. Cracked. Alive with something she had not asked for. "What happens now?" she asked. Helena did not answer. The handless attendant did. His voice was hollow. Now the museums remember they were enemies. From Workroom C, the woman's voice laughed. Then she whispered. Mara Ellison. The locks on Workroom C began to melt. Helena aimed her revolver at the door. Episode 3 of your employment, she said, is about to become combat training. Mara stared at her. I have combat training? No. Then why did you say training? Because panic sounds less professional. The first lock snapped. The staff room lights turned red. The second lock cracked. Every artifact in No. 7 began knocking from inside its case. The third lock bent outward. Mara reached for the nearest tool. A silver scalpel. Helena glanced at it. That won't help. It's what I know. The door to Workroom C split down the center. Gold light poured through. Inside the light, Mara saw a woman without a body. Only a head. suspended above the chair. Eyes open. Hair floating as if underwater. Her mouth full of names that had been stolen from history. She looked directly at Mara. And smiled. "Little restorer," she said. "Do you know why they chose you?" Mara's grip tightened around the scalpel. "No." The severed head's smile widened. "Because the last woman with hands like yours destroyed the world once." The door burst open. And the war came into the museum. End of episode 3. Shorts hooks. The museum rules said, if the handless attendant asks for a head, give him the mannequin head, never your own. Inside Workroom C, Mara found hundreds of hands nailed to the wall. The mannequin head warned her, the British Black Collection has already opened. Helena revealed a secret war between museums, churches, governments, and occult collectors, the War of Acquisitions. The first restorer had porcelain hands like Mara, and she may have destroyed the world once. When the severed head remembered its name, every hidden museum in the world woke up. Major foreshadowing added. The War of Acquisitions, a secret global relic war between World War I and World War II. The St. Bartholomew Accords of 1928, the treaty that created the archive network. The British Black Collection may already be compromised. The first restorer had porcelain hands and gold-lit blood like Mara. The handless attendant once transported the severed head of the true 14th warden. No. 7 is not just a museum. It is a balancing node in a global containment system. The archive network was not built because the war ended. It was built because the war could not be allowed to continue openly. The next major threat will connect No. 7 to overseas museums.